My dad told me when I was very young that if I really wanted to be successful in skiing, I had to be a lot more than a ski racer.
She decided at 9 years old that she wanted to join the Olympics, and ever since she's become the most decorated female skier of all time.
I grew up skiing with my family, and that's why I loved it. It originated just from the pure love of the mountain, not for racing.
What tips would you give to someone? What would you tell someone to say to themselves in those difficult moments?
We have the ability to overcome a lot of adversity and obstacles. It's just a matter of how much we're willing to sacrifice to get there. We are our own biggest obstacle.
Yeah, we definitely do. I mean, yeah, no, it's an amazing activity. It's just beautiful because you're surrounded by nature. But just to come back to what I was saying, you're an advocate for mental health and someone who's really wants to inspire confidence in other people. And I was wondering how you can square that with maybe the fact that you've also said we shouldn't really give away maybe participation medals, so people should really work for medals, which I agree with. And I think that the culture of giving people a trophy for participating isn't really conducive to building really good competition.
Yeah.
But I was wondering how you square those, how we can like
Yeah.
inspire confidence in those trying to race, but also not give out handouts.
Well, I think that, sports, the main thing that sports teach us, especially as kids, is when you fall, get back up. If you don't make the soccer team, we train harder and we try again. Failure is a part of sports, and it teaches us that failure is okay. We learn from our failures, and we grow and we get better. And I think it's, you obviously have to have good coaches and a support system, parents or, someone that's telling you, this is good. This is a good thing. It's okay. We're going to get better. It's not, the end of the world. This isn't something to be sad about. This is a learning experience. And so I think you need people to ingrain that kind of positive reinforcement within kids without having to give them a participation trophy. You don't need to, reward people or kids, when they just are there. There's a reason why there's a winner and there's a second place and a third place. It inspires you hopefully to be better. How do I work harder? And again, it's that overcoming adversity. It's that grit, and those lessons will translate into life. But if you're always told that, well, if you show up, you get a reward. Not if you work hard, you get a reward. It needs, there's two separate things going on there. And I think you just really need to focus on the hard work. And that's, again, it's all how it's being portrayed by the coaches and by the parents that really set it apart as being a life lesson or, something that could potentially derail you from a mental health perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think also one of the big issues with that is particularly the stories that men and women are told. And I know this is something you talk about a lot, but I think that competition, like you say, is encouraged less in women. And ski racing is the exception to where there's actually pretty much even participation, or at least even viewing at the top level. But how do you think we can change the story for young girls so that they can become more interested in competition and being their best?
Yeah, I think the idea of what a woman should be is definitely changing. I think we don't have to stay at home and be stay-at-home moms to be successful. And, I think that message is trickling down so that, young girls, are okay with being competitive. It's okay to be fierce and strong, but also feminine. And I think that's more of a society issue. And I think, again, sports, and to your point, ski racing is a good example of, how it can be more equal, but there still is a long way to go. And even if you just look at, pay disparagement between, women and men, and especially in the United States and WNBA and the NBA, there's a big gap between how people perceive women and men's sports. But I think, women's tennis is also a great example. Women's viewership on the finals were sometimes, and especially with Serena, a lot better than the men's. And it just takes, it takes a strong character and competitiveness and people really leaning in to tell those stories. You also need the media to stand behind, and really lean into those strong female voices, which I think they are. And there's definitely, like I said, a lot of strong females currently that are changing that perspective for young girls.
I mean, you've definitely been a part of that, which is amazing. But I find it interesting that skiing, and it's a positive thing, but I find it interesting that skiing is one of the ones where there is almost that equal viewership, given that it's such like a fierce sport and you're flying down the mountain. What do you think the reasons are behind that, maybe? Or
I think honestly, downhill is, a very dangerous sport. I think men respect that on the women's side. I think there's definitely always a level of entertainment and thrill and risk that comes with it. So whether it's men or women, you're still getting that same kind of entertainment value, so to speak. And again, I think, what I found in my career, at least, is that a lot of men, respect me for, getting injured and continuing to throw myself down a mountain at 85 miles an hour. And that gets people to watch, that they think that that's, something worth caring about. So I think that's one of the reasons. But also I think there's some great rivalries, it depends on who's racing. And if there's a good story to be told, then people pay attention. And thankfully, I think over the past few years, women have had great stories. And, whether it's myself and Maria Risch or, Michaela and Petra Vlhova, there's a lot of, kind of head-to-head rivalries that help stimulate that viewership. And men, I mean, obviously everyone's going to watch Kitzbühel no matter what, no matter who's competing, but Odermatt definitely helps their cause a lot.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to drop you in a word from our sponsor Manscaped. You can use the discount code LOAF to get your discount, because even a lion needs to tame its mane.
Get the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped now. Stay fresh with no cuts, so that your baguette leaves no crumbs.